This is the Simpit. I'm Shaun Cole, and today I have a very special guest on the show. And before I introduce him, you know very well from watching the show that the people that I consider heroes of sim racing, those people that I put on a mighty big pedestal, you're talking the Contis, the Hutus, the Glenn McGees, the guys who've just taken sim racing and showed that you can even make a living or get tremendous opportunities from showing how good you are at sim racing and then turning it into real life driving. So today, my guest is a very special guest, Kamil Franczak. He's from Poland, and he is actually the European equivalent to Glenn McGee at this point, maybe a few months behind because Glenn had his opportunity, moves on. So before I tell too much of the story, let's introduce Kamil to the show. Kamil, thank you very much for being on the show today.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for being invited.
Like I just told the audience out there, you know, you are one of these guys who's taken a sim racing opportunity and turned it into a real life opportunity, as we'll put it, and that's a very big deal. But I do want to go back in time a little bit and catch people up. You started out, in terms of this path that you're on now, on iRacing, competing in the European MX-5 Cup, sort of the European version of, again, what Glenn McGee won. What was it like joining that league and going? I mean, I talked to Glenn, it's a tough competition. What was it like going into that?
I really didn't know what to expect because I was quite a kind of rookie in iRacing. I didn't have many hours of experience. I was lucky. The car we were competing was a new for everybody. So we started at the same point. So I had the same chances like the aliens from iRacing, but the platform was still something new for me. So I knew that I have to spend more time preparing to the races and to learn how to drive in iRacing.
And did you find it a tough learning curve, or did you adapt to it like a fish adapts to water?
My driving technique in sim racing in general was to drive as clean as possible without overdriving the car, and this way of driving is the best one for iRacing, because in iRacing you have to drive your car like in the real world. So yeah, it wasn't easy on the beginning, but when I get used to the simulator, I felt I'm like at home. So yeah.
And I know people out there are going to kill me if I don't ask. What kind of wheel and pedals do you use?
I'm using a Thrustmaster T300 RS with Alcantara wheel and T3 PA Pro pedals with, of course, H pattern shifter.
Awesome. Cool. Now, when you got into the season, I mean, you're going against some really big names, and I would assume that after the previous competition, people knew what was at stake. So even though it was a new car, I've seen the way these guys run the MX-5, and it is the toughest competition out there. How do you go from that rookie level to getting to the top of the grid, really?
Okay, I'm started driving in iRacing with MX5 in MX5 series in about 2013, and from the beginning I was quite quick, but I was fighting with the top guys, and after a few seasons I started to beat them. So I was quite used to how MX5 Mazda MX5 Cup car behaves, and transition from the previous version to the new one wasn't that big deal, but after a few hours I felt comfortable, and I started putting very good lap times and winning in season races. So yeah.
Now, the way this played out, it was a little bit different than the previous competition, the American version, but you guys, it wasn't a winner-take-all situation. So How did the season play out? I mean, where did you finish, and how was your placing going into sort of the finale that we'll get to in a minute?
You can't even imagine how nervous I was before the first race, because being for 1 year in iRacing, I knew that Adai Lopez is really quick guy, and Jamie Bootloop, and I could see many names who are really aliens in iRacing. So the first race was the most difficult one for me, and yeah, I managed to qualify on second place.
So Adai Lopez then, pole position for him, 1/10 of a second and a thousandth ahead of Kamil Franczak there.
Which was a great achievement for me, because the way we were qualifying for starting grid was only 8 minutes, and you could do only 2 laps, so you have to focus 100% and not make any mistake, because if you don't put a clean lap, you are starting from the back of the pack, so it would be impossible to overtake everybody and finish in first place, especially in MX5 Cup, which is, I think, the most tough cup in iRacing.
Yeah, I agree, and it ends up very hard to gain positions on track without others making mistakes.
Oh yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really nervous before the start, and almost through the whole race, after a few laps, because Adai qualified on first position, I was on second, and after a few laps, I managed to overtake him. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake, because I did not take part in the first race, because first race was in a Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. The second one was on the Summit Point, and it was the race we are talking about. So after a few laps, I managed to overtake.
Oh, Kamil Lopez wants to come back at him again. He puts the nose down. Oh, they're going to squeeze up together. No room being given. This is how much it means for everyone. Group of 4 now. Shazbo and Curry up onto the party. But it is Kamil Franczak who will take the race lead for everything at the moment there, Will.
And I was leading till the end, almost till the end, because on the final straight of the final lap, Adai made a move and managed to overtake me by less than 100 of a second.
Oh.
So it's really disappointing.
Franczak versus Kamil Lopez. We talk about it being close. It really is close. There you can see the play clock getting close to expire. There you can see Kamil Lopez looking to the outside. Battle for the line. The checkered flag will be out this time by, and it will be a photo finish. Kamil Lopez there versus Franczak to the line. Photo finish. And I think that Kamil Lopez might well just about edge that one out, but it's mighty close there.
Is that how the racing went all season long? That tight, that close?
Oh yeah, it was. I think it was every race. It was getting even closer, because people started to practice a lot more, because they felt the whole prize is unbelievably great. So everybody wanted to win a spot in Barcelona. So it was really difficult, but after half of the season, I managed to find myself on second place in overall season standings. It was strong second position, just behind Adai. Yeah, and race by race, I was after a few races, I was finishing in first position usually. So I was still getting closer and closer to Adai, and finally, in the final race, I managed to jump to first position in whole season rankings. So it was great achievement. I was so happy.
Awesome. Now, in the previous season, that would have been enough. You would have been done, and you would have been on your way to the Friends of Mazda training event in Barcelona, but they changed things up. That put you as certainly the top seed, but the top 20 were being invited to basically what I'd call here in America a shootout, because it was going to be a one race top 3 move on to that Friends of Mazda training event versus just selecting the top 3 guys from the standings.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was a bit different than the previous 2013 and or 2015. Sorry, 2015 shootout. So being on the top of the whole season rankings, it basically meant nothing because top 20 guys from the whole season were invited for the final race at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and only 3 guys from this final race were invited for the Friends of MX5 training event located in Barcelona. So yeah, I was first after the whole season, so I felt quite comfortable. But you never know what will happen on the final race, and everybody of these 20 guys want to be on the top. So yeah, it was very difficult. I put so much time preparing for it, and yeah.
That was going to be my next question. So how many laps do you think you put in at Mazda Raceway before that shootout race?
It's hard to say, but my strategy was to because every race was on Thursday, so I was preparing from Monday till Thursday, about 4 hours a day, to really nail that one lap, which is crucial for qualifying. So yeah, that was my goal, to do consistent qualifying, great laps. But the worst part of this preparation was on the last day, on Thursday, 3 hours before the race. I couldn't do any clean lap. I was really going to 1x, so I really didn't know what to think about the qualifying. But yeah, during qualifying, I could calm down and do what I should do.
And it went well. So how did that race play out? 20 guys, all fighting for a top 3 position with a lot at stake. This isn't just any race. This is, you know, gosh, a potential racing career on the line. Potential racing career on the line. What was it like?
Yeah.
What was it like, the race? I mean, was it the most cutthroat thing you've ever done?
I think it was one of the most tough things I've ever done in sim racing, and I was also thinking about some hardware problems, for example, internet connection problems, breakouts, and something like that. If it happens, you lose. So
Sure.
yeah, so I was preparing a lot, but and the race for me wasn't really difficult. For few first laps it was quite intensive, but after a few laps I could pull away from second position, so I was quite comfortable. But you never know what will happen on Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, because we all guys know the corkscrew and turn 6, which is one of the more difficult turns, and you can spin, you can crash, and it will be the end of your...
Just like that, yeah. From the front, to, just like that. Yeah, it's a scary, scary place, which we're going to get to in a minute. So at the end of the day, Koba Lopez, Jeremy Boudaloop, and Kamil Franczak have advanced to the Friends of Mazda training event, which is, that's some pretty big company you're in right there.
Yeah. On the beginning, it was like Adai Koba Lopez and Jeremy Boudaloop, but after a few races, it was like, oh, the new guy, Kamil Franczak, versus Adai Koba Lopez and Jeremy Boudaloop. It was after a few races, it was like that. So yeah, I really didn't know what to expect, but I knew that these guys are really, really quick guys. For example, Adai Koba Lopez is perfect in doing what he is doing, because he never do mistakes. For the whole season, I I think I haven't seen any mistakes from him. So he's really, really consistent and quick guy. He's perfect in MX5, so it wasn't easy. But Jeremy Bootloop, I think he was also focusing on GT3 series, so he wasn't preparing that much for MX5 season. But after half of the season, he really put more time to prepare for the races, and yeah, he managed to do it. And also in the final race, he managed to be in the second position. So yeah, we all know he is a quick guy, and he proved it.
So, and what was it like in the back of the grid? Were people just killing each other? I mean, there had to have been tremendous fighting going on, just anything they could do to get up front.
Luckily, I started on pole and I finished with 5-second advantage, so I was quite...
So that was all going on back there.
Yeah, that was really fun. But the second place was Adai Lopez, second place was Jeremy Woodloop on starting grid, then it was Jesus Sicilian, and then Adai Lopez. So Adai qualified on 4th position. It was, I think, one of his worst qualifications for the whole season. But luckily for Adai, Jesus tried an overtake move and let Adai pass him. So and after this, the top 3 was me, Jeremy Bootloop, and Adai Lopez till the end. But P4, P5, and P6, it was something crazy. I was watching the replay of the whole race because I did not realize what is going on these positions. But Evan Maillard tried an overtake move on the last corner on the Jesus Sicilia, and he caused the crash. So our top 3 had about the P3 guy had about 5 seconds of advantage over P4. So I think, and it was Adai. So I think he could calm down and just finish in 3rd position, not trying to overtake and be in the P2.
Kamil Franczak in the 023 Team Potato Machine punches his ticket to Barcelona. Kamil Franczak will win here at Laguna Seca. Jeremy Bootloop will come home in 2nd place. He punches his ticket, and Adai Lopez is your 3rd and final driver. He too is going to Barcelona.
And there you have it, the top 3. They're going on, and so you guys get the invite to go to Barcelona, Spain, to go to the Friends of Mazda training event, which is going to be a really interesting competition. Have you ever been to Barcelona before?
Nope, it was my first time.
And you know you're going up against Adai and Jeremy, but you're also going up against a bunch of known real drivers. I mean, this is again like what Glenn had to go up against, where they went in as sim racers against a bunch of Miata drivers specifically, which, I mean, I would think puts them at a disadvantage. How did you feel going in? How did you feel going to Barcelona?
Being invited for the Friends of MX5 training event was amazing feeling. Yeah, it was great because the time I put on to get here was quite big. So I was really excited doing it. But we thought we are fighting between only sim guys. So between me, and Adai and Jeremy. But we found out being in Barcelona that we are also fighting with this MX5 Cup winners from the Europe. So I really didn't know what to think about it, because those guys, I think MX5 cars, regardless version, behaves plus minus the same. So these guys from MX5 Cups, real Cups, were were prepared for it. They were driving these cars for a few years, and there were also competitors who were whose racing career was 15 years old long. 15 years long. So yeah, when I get to the Barcelona, I think, okay, that's no problem. At least I will be driving the MX-5 Cup car, so it will be fun. But yeah, after one day of competition, I found myself in top 10 of 20 guys. So even they were professional MX-5 Cup drivers and season winners, I managed to be better than them and be picked up for the final 10.